We are in the weekly Torah portion and this Portion-Shelach. What I'm going to do is start at the very beginning, but then we're going to jump. Okay? So I just want to give the background. I'll skip the middle parts here, though. Okay, so we're starting at this part is so it's on page 798. What we're looking at is at the spies. The God, well, you'll see. No introductions. So Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Shlach an Hashem, send for yourself men. Okay, what are you going to do? Vit yaturu. This does not change to the past because the vav, it's not about conversing. Vit yaturu el ed eretz Canaan, and they will spy out, or they will, spy out the land of Canaan. Asher ani noten lifnei Yisrael, that I am giving to Bnei Yisrael, isha echad lamatei avotav tishlachu, one man from each tribe of the fathers you will send. Kol nasi behem, all of them are princes, all of them are leaders. Okay. Now what Rashi says is, the first question he says is, why is this parsha connected to the previous parsha of Miriam? Because so it says that just as Miriam was punished for her speaking Lashon Hara against her brother by saying, what makes you think you're so special, that you're separating from your wife? And now we have these people who are going to speak Lashon Hara again, so they should have taken Musaf from what happened to her. They should have taken an ethical rebuke for what happened to her, that she got saras, and not done it. That's number one. The second thing is, Rashi says, Shlach for your own sake, l'dadcha, according to your knowledge. It's not a mitzvah. That's what Rashi is getting at. Ain't a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah to you to send these people. If you want to send them, send them. If you don't, you don't.
Oh, is that what lecha means?
Right, lecha. Send for yourself. Like lech lecha. Go for yourself. Yeah. It's for your benefit.
I was wondering that.
Right.
We know that phrase very well.
Correct.
But they translate it as send forth.
Right. You can't do anything about the English. Yeah. Even though they're art scroll, they have to deal with. They ruin it for the reader. I'm trying to tell you, because they can't bring it in. They would bring it in their notes. Yeah, in the notes they would say it. Okay. But the point that Rashi is saying is, the Hashem is saying, if you want, you can send them. Why? Because the people came. Rashi continues to say, the Bnei Yisrael came and they said, send men before us. And so he probably brings it down here too. Yeah, let's run through it because I'm sure he does. So he's bringing it down from Deuteronomy, actually. She says in number 2, the implication is that God gave Moshe permission to send spies, but left the decision up to him. In Deuteronomy, the Torah provides further information on the sequence of the events leading up to the mission. As explained by the sages and Rashi in both chapters, the people came to Moshe and asked him to dispatch spies to reconnoiter Canaan, and asked him to and report to them. Moshe consulted Hashem, who said, I have told them the land is good, but since they question me, I will let them test my veracity at the risk of being misled and losing their chance to enter the land. Although Moshe apparently approved the demand, he actually hoped that his agreement would dissuade the people from pressing the request. The sages offer a parable. Someone wants to buy a donkey, but says that he must test it first. The seller enthusiastically says, go ahead. She says, may I take it to both mountains and valleys? Of course you can. Seeing that the buyer is so confident of his animal's prowess, the buyer decides he has nothing to fear and forgoes the test. So he buys the donkey and is very satisfied. So too Moshe thought that his willingness to let the people have their way would convince them that they had nothing to fear. He was mistaken. They wanted to hear about the land from their peers, so he sent the spies. So that was one thing. So God, Rashi puts it as, they'll make the mistake, they'll die by the mistake. That's up to them, whatever they're going to do. Okay, the Ramban, Nachmanides says, it's normal to want to send spies. Why? Not because you don't trust God, because you want to know where to enter. They know that they're not counting on a miraculous victory. We're not allowed to rely on miracles. Ein somcha nalais. We don't rely upon, that's what it says. We're not allowed to rely upon miracles, which is why we go to work, by the way. Why do we go to work? Why don't we just sit here and expect man to fall from the heaven, expect the money to be in our account? Because ain't somchen al hanes. You're not allowed to rely upon a miracle or a sign or whatever it's going to be. However you want to translate the word nes. Nes is only a miracle, but can also be a sign or a sign. You're not allowed to rely upon that. So if that's the case, then the spies, the people saying to Moshe, we love you, we love Hashem, but we have a problem. When we go in, we're 3 million strong. We're 3,550 people here. We're going to have to go in as an armed force to get rid of the people in the land because nobody wants to give their land up. Okay? All the socialists in the world say, take their land, not my land. Nobody wants to give up their place. They want their place. Okay, so if that's the case, we have to displace people. We have to go in as a fighting team. So if that's the case, we have to do conventional warfare. That being the case, we have to know how to enter the land. Where do we enter? What do we do? Now, normally, how many people would you spend on a spy mission? 1, 2, 2 usually. Okay, you don't want one because one can get in trouble. But 2, the other, they'll run, and that's what they did when they were spying out when Joshua, years later, he would send 2 people. Here God says, no, don't send 2. Send 12. Why? Because he knows that they're going to mess up. So you have to blame everybody together. If you just send 2, then only 2 tribes would be involved in that. So that wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So you send 12. Now who's 12? The major people. These aren't the losers of the community. They're the winners. And they're supposed to go out. Now they're going out and they're taking a nice reconnaissance trip into there. They're seeing and Moshe will tell them where to go and so on and so forth. The names are here for everybody to see. Again, I'm not going to go through the names. But that is why Hashem is sending them. To say that maybe they'll convince the other one not to do this. I know what's going to happen. But everybody has free will. There's multiple ways, there's multiple universes here of how it could happen. So God says, I'm going to put it into their hands. You have free choice. You can either tell the story, the real story, or you can make it up with your perceptions. That's up to you. But by all means, you want to go. You're showing you don't trust me. But again, the Ramban says it's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of that's normal ways of going in. Now, could they have said, if God said we can do it, we'll do it? Yeah, okay, fine. That's not such a far-fetched thing, but that's not where they were. Okay, so that's really how the Ramban wants to explain this as opposed to Rashi. Okay, so it says, now let's go down to verse 17, it's on the same page. So he says, these are, I'm just saying, 16, excuse me. These are the names of the man of Shalach Moshe, the Torah, the arts, the ones that I didn't say, but listed above, to Torah out the land, to spy out the land. Vayikra Moshe LaHoshea bin Nun. It's one of the few times you'll see his real name. That Moshe called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Yehoshua. And Rashi says, why did he change his name? Because it says, Hashem should save him from the spies' evil report. That's why he calls him Yehoshua. Fine. But
does he rename
sorry? Kalev?
Kalev, does he
No.
give him anything special?
No, he doesn't give him any name. Kalev is like the heart, so he didn't have to worry about that. But Yehoshua, Hoshea, I don't know what he saw in Yehoshua that he had to daven on his behalf, but nonetheless, that's what it says, because he goes Yehoshua. So, but Kalev, like he didn't daven on his behalf. Yeah.
So what's the difference in pronunciation between Hoshea?
Well, you're putting a yud there. Hoshea ben to Yehoshua.
Hoshea. Okay.
Right. Okay. And Hoshea comes from the word save. Save.
So
Hoshiana.
Yehoshua means God will save you.
Yehoshua, God will save you. God should save you. So he adds the yud to that. Okay. So now what happens? He says, Vayishlach otam Moshe, Moshe sent them. the Torah Eretz Canaan to spy out the land of Canaan. Vayomer Aleim, and he said to them, Alu Negev, go up in the south. Ve'elitim et Ahar, and come and go up to the mountain. Why the south? Rashi says that this will land. He showed them it was the Pesolet of the land, the not good part of the land. Okay, he says, and that's the way of all sellers, to show you the negative and then show you the positive. I don't know how many sellers do that, but maybe that was the old way of selling. Today, you would only want to show you the good part. So if I was bringing you to South Bend to show you off South Bend, apparently, according to this, I would bring you to the west side, the bombed out sections that we have, and say, this is not where you'll live. You're going to live on the south side or the west side, the north or the east, everything but the west. Okay, but that is what he's showing him. He's showing him the psolet first, the dregs first, and then he says, and go up to the mountain, fine, and then he gives him an order. He gives them an order. Retem arts, see the land, mahi, what's it like? And the nation that's sitting on it or dwelling on it. Hechazaku, is it strong? Harafeh, is it weak? Hama'adhu, are they little? Imrav, is there a lot? He's being very specific. He's not saying go on and start seeing Torah and tell me what you saw at the park. He's saying, okay, look around. Is the land good or not? So Rashi explains, what does it mean the land is good? Yesh eretz megadel giborim. There are certain lands that grow strong people, and there are those that grow weak people. And if there's the ones who are strong, so they have a lot of people, and those who are weak will make less people. So then it says, are they strong or weak? So how could they tell that if they're strong or they're weak? They said he gave them a sign. If they're living in open cities without walls, they're strong because they're relying upon their strength. If they're living in fortified cities, then they're weak. They're relying upon the walls. So, what's it like? When I first drove into South Bend, this part of South Bend, actually I didn't notice this one. I noticed the one at the end of the street. I saw a gated community. And I said, whoa, this guy is rich. That's at the end of Twickenham. It says Twickenham Hills, whatever it says, but you could see that it was like a gate. I was expecting the gate to close.
No, wow. Is there a gate up there?
No, there's no gate. But I thought there was when I first.
It doesn't go through those streets. Don't go through those last couple streets.
No, you can't get through. But when I first came here, I was thinking, this is crazy. There's a gate. I was expecting a gate to close, but there was no gate. It was just whatever the builders around here. It's the same thing over at Ewing. So Ewing to here, it's the same thing. Where it looks like it's
from Ridgedale, those two, yeah.
Yeah, Ridgedale, and then from here, Ewing and Twickenham.
It makes it look very.
It looks very, very impressive, but again, there's no gate. We can't shut out the world, and it's only on this street. It's not even the area. Yeah. You go anywhere else, you can come in. Yeah. So, but it's I think they said, who was it built this? The car people.
For Studebaker.
Studebaker. So Studebaker, this is built for their executives.
The bigger house for executives, the more average houses for the.
So that's why they made it look so nice. Yeah. So the executives feel, I'm so important, okay. But it's, I have to say, when you're driving in at 6:30 in the morning, it's very impressive to see that sort of thing. Okay. So, but that's really what they're asking. Is it strong? You know they're strong if there's nothing. If it's open, then you better be aware. If there's fortified, they're not so strong. Fine. That's the sign he gives them. Umahars, and what's the land Asher Yoshev Ba that they're living in? Is it Hatova Hi Amra'ah? Is it good? Is it bad? So Umaharim Asher Yoshev Bahin. And what about the cities that they're living in there? Are they open or are they fortified? Again, the same questions. The land, is it fat or is it skinny? How do they say that? Is it fertile or is it lean? Is there a tree or not? Now that is interesting. They say 8, so he'll say trees probably. Yeah, he'll use that as 8 as in the collective form. Okay? But Rashi says no. It means tree. And what is that? Is Im yesh bahem adam kasher. Is there a person who is righteous, or he's saying kosher, sheyagen aleihem zechuto, that's going to protect them. And who is that referring to? Job. So we're putting Job, the Mishnah, the Agadita puts Job into the story. So Job, he was living in Avram's time. They put him there. They also put him into Egypt. He was one of the people in Egypt, one of the people who were the counselors of Pharaoh. And then we put him here. And then, of course, they put him somewhere else. And the question is, when did Job live? If he lived at all. Did he live? And that's the other part. Did the story ever really happen? Or was it just a parable? That's in the Gemara. It's not even biblical scholarship getting here. This is their question on Job. But according to Rashi, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about Job. And so, but that's the eights. That's the tree. A kosher person. If the person is righteous, that's who is going to protect that town. And you should be strong, strengthen yourself, and take from the fruit of the land, and the days that these people were going, you may be Korean of him. They were the days of the first ripe grapes. Why do we have to know that? Because they weren't going in the bad season. We have in Maine, and you have it here too, we just don't call it that here. Mud season. You know what mud season is? When it's raining, it finishes winter, so then it rains, and it's just muddy roads ahead. It's disgusting. It's all dirty, and you're slopping. They called it actually mud season in Maine. I remember that mud season, but that's what it is. So here they're not going in mud season. They're not going when it's cold. They're not going when it's hot. They're going. It's a pleasurable trip. They're going at the right time of year. You have to go in this time of year to go. Fine. So what happens? Now again, they gave direction. He gave them very specific things of what they're going to look for and what they have to report back for, right? So it says, "V'yalu havyatura el haaretz midbar tzin ad rechov levoya achamat." So they went, they spied out the land from midbar tzin until rechov levoya, until the approach, the expansive approach to Hamat. Now watch this grammar. Vaya'alu b'negev, and they went up in the south. Vayavo ad Chevron, literally, and he came until Chevron. So they'll say here, they ascended in the south, and they do say it. He arrived at Chevron. Good. So he's saying it right. So that's the question. Who's the he? And what's in Chevron? So Rashi will explain that the he is Kalev. Kalev alone went there to Chevron, and
they ascended there.
Ascended the spies. So Chevron. So apparently, Kalev took a little detour. He went to the grave sites of the forefathers, and he davened that he would not be led us fall into the trap of his friends when it came to giving the advice, saying that this is not a good land. And so that's why he went to Hebron. He was davening by the grave sites of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which were buried in Hebron. Yeah.
So were they planning to come back with a negative report while they were still in the land?
I guess so. That's what we're learning from that.
So like before, not even on the return, like as they were entering, they were already saying like, look at all this bad stuff. This is what we're going to tell the people.
Well, again, they don't tell the people anything wrong per se.
Right.
They just give it a bad spin.
Camp.
So yes, it seems that from this Rashi and from others that they had in mind not to come back with a glowing report.
Like to warn the people.
To what?
They want to warn the people, not like enthusiastic people.
Well, the question is, why do they do that? We're not talking about lowlifes. We're talking about leaders. And so one explanation that I heard, I don't think I read it, I'm pretty sure I heard it, was in defense of the princes or leaders. People again, they get very excited when I say princes for Nasi, but okay, you can't say presidents. That's what Nasi would be, a president, Nasiim. Yeah. But they're leaders. So they're leaders of the camps. So one reason I was again heard was that the leaders knew or didn't think that the people were ready to go on their own into the land. We're not that far out of Egypt. Okay, we're in the first 2 years. So they felt that the people needed more time to get ready to do other things. So what they would do is they thought, let's keep them in the desert with the man falling, learning Torah, doing what you're doing, clothes being taken care of, everything's taken care of in the wilderness, and that way we'll get in the next generation. We'll be able to go in no problem. And they would be doing it for the sake of heaven. That's how they convinced themselves, which is an interesting spin on the story again. Because again, you're not looking at people who were lowlifes. You're looking at leaders who were trying to do the best for the people. So it doesn't make sense that they're going to do what they're about to do. Okay? But nonetheless, so he splits from the group. And there what happens? And there in Hebron were three people. Achimai, Achiman, Sheshai, V'Talmai, that's the names. Yilidei Ha'anak, the children of the giant. Okay, so now we're seeing giants. We have a land of giants, like the TV program from 100 years ago, but the land of giants. And then the Hebron, now the Torah tells us, Hebron that Hebron was built 7 years before Tzoam Mitzrayim. That Tzoam Mitzrayim is the best place in Egypt, Rashi says. And Hebron was built 7 years before that, showing how great Hebron was. Because if it's built before, you're going to build the better place first and use the garbage for the second place. So here it's built 7 years later. Okay, fine, in Tzoam Mitzrayim, which was the best of Mitzrayim. So what it's saying is, Hebron, which was the rocky place, that's why it was good for grave sites. It was a rocky place. It wasn't a good area. And yet, it was better than the best place in Mitzrayim, which was known as the land of, a very fertile land. So, that's why they want to say it. Now we go on, and we say, Ve'yavo'u, and they came. Again, it's all they. Ve'yavo'u ad Nachal Eshkol, and they came to the valley of Eshkol. The valley of Eshkol. Vayichrotu misham zamora ve'Eshkol anavim echad, and they cut from there a vine with one cluster of grapes. V'sa'u b'mot b'shnayim, and they carried it with on a pole with two people. So each they bore it on a double pole. Fine. Sorry, that's what it means. A mina rimonim. So that means 8 people. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people are carrying this cluster of grapes. When's the last time you had to carry a cluster of grapes? Okay, I can carry it like this. I go to the Stop and Shop. I can take what's it called? Martin's. I can grab a pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds. Not that hard. I can lift it with one hand. These guys, they're strong. How strong are they? They're going to lift up the stones from the gigantic stones from, what do you call it, the Jordan River, and they're going to put them up. They're going to put all these stones from writing the Torah on them. You have very strong people here. And it takes 4 of you to carry one cluster of grapes. It shows how these fruits are so gigantic. That's the point. And then
the cluster would be like
gigantic thing, right? It's gigantic. And so Vayichratu, I said that. Vayisuba, I said that. Rimonim, and also from the pomegranates and from the dates. Okay, figs. Lamakom ahuna kara Nachal Eshkol, so they call that place Nachal Eshkol, Alador Eshkol, on the matter of this cluster of grapes. Asher called to Misham Bnei Israel, that they Bnei Israel cut from there. Okay, so they're coming back with all the ammunition they need. We have this great fruit. Great, not grape. Great fruit. And gigantic stuff, tremendous. Now watch what they say. Vayeshuvim Yitor Haaretz, they returned from spying out the land. Miketz Arbim Yom, in the end of 40 days. Now, God, in reality, to go through Eretz Yisrael, takes much more than 40 days by one foot. Okay? God rushed them because God knows that for every day that they were spying is going to be a year in the desert. So if you're going to let them go for 120 years or 120 days or extend this touring duty, it's going to be worse for all of us. So we don't want that. In 40 years, you're going to wipe out the previous generation of 20 to 40, 26. Okay, so that's why he wanted 40. Now, what happens? Vayelchu, they came. They went, Vayavo, and they came, El Moshe, El Aaron, to both Moshe and Aaron, because they were sent on a message from both of them anyway, fine. So they came there, and what happens? V'yakol Adab in Israel, and also to the entire congregation of Israel, and El Midbar Paran Kadesha, to the wilderness of Paran Kadesh, at Kadesh, Vayashivo Tam Davar, and they brought back, or they returned word, El V'kol Eda, to the entire congregation, V'yarum et Priya Arts, and they showed them the fruit of the land. So it says, Rashi says, it connects Vayelchu v'yavo. They came, they left, and they came. So it says, just as when they left, they had in mind, which would answer your question. It says they left with bad advice or bad intentions. So now when they returned, they also came back with bad intentions. Now that's Rashi. Rashi is just throwing him on the bus. Again, there's one opinion that says it was L'Shem Shamayim, but we'll go with Rashi. Okay, V'yisapru lo vayomru, and they told them, and they said, Banu el haaretz asher shalchtanu, we came to the land that you sent us. V'gam zavach alav davashi, and it truly is a land flowing with milk and honey. V'zeh pirya, and this is its fruit. Well, that doesn't sound like such a bad thing to me. The land was beautiful. It was tremendous. Never had anything like it. Rashi says the most important line of every storyteller: Kol davar sheker. Any lie. She'ein omrim bo katzad emet b'tichilato, that doesn't have some, you don't start off with some kernel of truth in the beginning. Ein mitkayim b'sofo. It will not last in the end. If you want to tell a good whopper, come with some truth. You have to have truth, because people will accept the truth. You already said that this was a beautiful land. Look at this fruit. It's unbelievable. Oh my God. Now, let's understand one other thing. How far is Israel from Egypt?
Not far.
How far?
Walking, you mean?
How far? That's where you are, right?
Yeah.
It's as close as South Bend is. Well, it's as close as Indiana is to Michigan. One step. Okay? Now, I don't know how Indianapolis looks. I don't know if I ever know how Indianapolis looks, but I hear about Indianapolis. I hear about Fort Wayne. I hear about all these places. I don't have to go. I hear about what's Bar Harbor, Bell Harbor, what's this Michigan? Benton Harbor? Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor. That's Michigan, right?
Michigan.
That's not Michigan?
Yeah, Benton Harbor's Michigan, isn't it?
Michigan. Okay, whatever. I hear about Benton Harbor. I know I heard about Andrews. I know they're all nice places. They didn't know what it sounded. That's what I'm saying. That's the truth here. They knew that there was already land there. Even though they're slaves, they would have known. They would have told stories about it. They would have had a collective memory of what Israel was.
So the stories are true. It's all fantastic.
Right. So now to say, so if they were to come back and said, "Oh no, it's the biggest dump in history," people would have said, "No, forget it. No, you're not telling the truth." But the fact is, they knew. Again, they had reports from their parents and grandparents, and it's only 4 generations are there. Let's understand that too. And people, besides that, You had the Egyptians who were doing trade with Israel, or whatever they called Israel, Canaan. They were doing trade. So again, it's not hard to know that this is a good land. So that they couldn't lie about that. That they have to say. Now the key word is FS, but. And when this is a famous teaching tool. I say this every year. When I say you're a good boy, but, why weren't you like that yesterday? All you heard was but. You forgot the first statement. So if I ever want to destroy, if they would have not said but, then everything they're saying is true. But because they put in their own commentary, that's what kills it. FS, but that's Ramban. FS, but. Ki the nation is strong. Hayoshe ba'aretz, who's living there, ve'arin. But Gadol ma'od, and the cities are greatly fortified. V'gam yilidei hanak re'inu sham. We also saw the children of the giants here. Amalek Yoshe ba'aretz Negev. Amalek, which attacked us already. They're living in the Negev in the south. V'achiti v'yavusi v'amari. And those people, Yoshe Bahar, they're living in the mountains. V'akanani Yoshe v'aliyam. And the Canaanim are living by the sea, and by the Yarden. They didn't lie. They said everything that they were asked. That's what I wanted to get. What they did was they put in commentary. That's the problem. You can't put a commentary in. Just say what I wanted. I asked you, is the land good? They didn't lie. As a matter of fact, when Ramban says, when Moshe is going to tell the people 40 years later, you're going to go into the land, and they're greater and stronger, why wasn't he punished too? Because he was telling them they have to do tshuva, that's all. He wasn't telling them that you can't conquer. It's up to God what you're going to do. But when they put in the word FS, but everybody's too strong, suddenly it changes the equation. Now people are getting scared. So what happens? V'yahas Kalev tried to shush them at El Moshe. He tried to silence the people, and so Rashi says, how did he silence them? Because they're really revved up. They're getting angry at Moshe. She said, "Do you know what else Ben Amram did? Not what. Do you know what else Moshe did? Moshe would have been respectful. Moshe Rabbeinu would have been respectful. You know what else the son of Amram did? Very disrespectful, horribly disrespectful." And they're saying, "Yeah, tell me more. He says he's the one who brought us through the Red Sea, and he starts to compliment him. Oh, they're not happy with that. And he says, Vayomer, and he said, Alo na'alev irashnu ota. We can go up. We can surely go up and inherit the land. Ki yachol nuchal la. We can surely do it. Now, let's face it. I have 10 that say no. Yehoshua, I know, is bought and paid for by Moshe. He's bought and paid for. Forget it. He's Moshe's lap boy. Leave me alone. Lackey? Whatever you call it. Lackey. He's Moshe's lackey. He's with Moshe constantly. Yeah, okay, he's going to back him up. Kalev, we don't know. But it's still 1 versus 9. 1 versus 10. Who would you believe? That's the real problem. Again, these are all the situations you have to think of. We know the end. But if I'm in that moment and 10 of my leaders are saying, no way, Jose, and only one is saying, we can do it, yeah, rah, rah, rah. The other guy was not interested. We know what you're going to say. So what do you do? Okay. And so now it continues. Alu Imo, and the men that went up with him, Amru, and they said, Lo nuchal alod et we cannot go against the nation. And we can, right. Ki chazaku mimenu, they're too strong for us. Period. So again, you have all this competition going on. Nobody knows what to do. So then what happens is, now they start, Moshe's out of the picture. Now they're going to people's tents. And they start spreading Lashon Hara about the land they went to. And they say to him, the land that we passed through, Torah, to explore it. It's the land that eats up all its inhabitants. Why do they say that? Because they saw all these funerals. Wow. Everybody was burying somebody else. Rashi says that God made it so they would be burying their people, so they wouldn't worry about this company of 12 people walking through the land. So they took a positive, turned it into a negative, and said, this it kills the people. And all the people we saw were men of great measure. The Shamri in the Nephilim, we even saw in the Nephilim those people who the ones who were fallen, but it's how they say it here. The giant, the Nephilim, they don't translate. The Nephilim, the people who are great stature. Bnei Anak ben Nephilim, and the sons of the giants from the Nephilim. V'ani b'neienu k'chagavim, and we were in their eyes like grasshoppers. V'chen hayinu b'neihem, and also in their eyes. How do they know? The fact you can say in our eyes we were like grasshoppers, okay, shkach, I felt small. But how do you know they felt the same way? So Rashi says that they said that they overheard the giants saying, "Oh, look at that, little bugs with human faces." So we'll have to stop there. But that is so that actually the last line I'll give you. Vatisa kol ha'edah, the entire congregation lifted up, vayitnu kolam, and gave their voice, vayivku ha'am b'laylahu, and the people cried on that night. That night was what date in Jewish history? Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. From that, and God said, you had nothing to cry about, and you cried. Wow. Now I'll give you something to cry about. What every parent likes to say to their kid when they're crying incessantly for no reason. Okay, that's it.